Welcome to the Digital Artisan Crafted Journeys podcast series, where we talk to people about their fantastic careers, the impact they've made, and the insights that they want to share. So joining me today, I could not be more excited to have the fabulous Bridget Benedetti, who was such a blessing to me when I was doing a project over at PayPal. And in fact, one of the people who introduced me to MarketScale, which is the technology we're doing today's podcast on. So with that, I am going to kick off our podcast interview by just saying, Bridget, please introduce yourself, where you live, and how you got into this field.
Thanks, Susie. I'm Bridget Benedetti, and I live in Peoria, Arizona. And I consider myself retired, but I am a user-generated content coach for MarketScale. So what does that mean? That means I get to work with incredible B2B companies and help them use user-generated content for their marketing strategy. And it's super fun. I retired from full-time corporate. I'm a marketing director position at a company called Hexagon, and I was based in Rhode Island, and I worked there nearly 10 years. And it was a fabulous company, a global company. I worked with my colleagues in all continents every single day, as well as the North American leadership team. And during that role, I contracted MarketScale. So I was a MarketScale client. And when I retired, they asked me if I would take on a few of their clients to work with. And I said, absolutely, that would be so fun. So that's my retirement job.
Fantastic. So what an amazing journey you've had. And one of the things we like to do here on the podcast is to give you the chance to shout out some of your biggest influences and or mentors along the journey, who they were and what you learned from them.
Well, first I have to say my parents, like everyone thanks their parents at an award ceremony. My parents had an incredible work ethic. They both had careers, and I didn't really realize what hard workers they were and dedicated to their careers until I was older. And my sisters and I all have this work ethic. So we work hard, we show up, even when we don't feel like it. We give 110%. We really care. And I'm really grateful for that because I believe we need to work smarter, not harder, but you can't dismiss hard work. There's nothing that can replace that. So I would like to start with my parents. And then secondly, I would say in my professional world, my last manager, Angus Taylor, was the president of North America for this global company I worked for. And he had a lot of qualities that I don't have. And the two of us would acknowledge that because we worked well together. And from him, I really learned a lot of grace under pressure. I learned about patience and genuine caring about your team. When you're leading a team, you need that personal connection. And so he had an incredible memory. If I said, I'm going to have meet my girlfriends on Friday night or something, and the next Monday he'd say, hey, how was your Friday night with your friends? So he was very thoughtful in that way. And so I was really impressed with that when I first met him and first worked with him. So when I had my own team, I tried to really make sure I remembered things about people and just, accept the whole package. When someone stumbled or made a mistake, I'd say, okay, I know you're not going to do that again. Let's see how we can fix it. I wanted people to come to me if they made a mistake, and I could do that with my manager, Angus. So he was a really big influence.
That is great. So I would love to ask, from this fantastic journey that you had, share some of the things that you're most proud of, some milestones or successes, and maybe some of the challenges you faced in getting to them.
The one project that really stands out in my mind was a customer advisory board. We had a big management team strategy 2-day session, and this was my baby to bring to this strategy planning. I really felt like our North American team could benefit from having clients, executives come and talk to us once a year at an event in a closed session, very small, casual, open discussions about, the direction of our business and where they felt like our industry was going. And I had a lot of proponents for this. And so as a team, we voted that this was going to be one of our initiatives. After that, though, I faced such an uphill battle. There were some people that were adamantly opposed to it. They were supposed to be helping me orchestrate this whole program, and there was some sabotage going on. And they would bring it up and say, we don't think we should do this. And I said, well, it's beyond my control now. We all agreed as a group. So this went on for a long time. And I still forged ahead because I really believed in this. And then it stalled a lot because of budgets and things. It takes money to bring people together and travel. And, if you're bringing executives in, you want to show them a really quality time. So there's dinners and travel and venues and things like that. And so I had a lot of trouble getting the budget, and it did stall. And another 6 months would go by, and we'd bring it up, and our president would say, yes, we should do that. But when it came time to pay, the budgets got cut. That always got cut in budget times. And it was really, I'll say, a slog. And this went on. So I would go quiet about it. And then my global president was visiting us, and my North American regional president said, I want you to present the concept to Norbert. And I said, okay. And Norbert started out, and it was the end of the day, and it was just 4 of us in the room, and he was really tired because he had traveled from Europe, and this was the East Coast. And so, it wasn't the best circumstance for me to present to him, and I didn't meet with this guy often. And by the end of, I believe in this so much that I think my enthusiasm was contagious. And by the end of the meeting, he said, well, I hope you invite me to this event. So we got his blessing, and there was still some stalls. And the following year, Norbert came back, and he wanted me to lead the global conference that we held every year. Our division's part of it. And he said, Bridget, we need to get more executives to come to this. And I thought, here's my moment. So I literally rebranded this customer advisory board and called it an executive track at our conference, and he was all for it. And so this took a couple of years, and one of my colleagues really worked closely with me. He's Zvonimir Kotnik, and he supported it, but we were defeated in small battles, but we kept, entering the war. We stayed in the war, and we kept fighting for it. And then once we held the first event for this customer advisory board, it was wildly successful. We, and every single minute of it, getting guests and everything was such a struggle, getting confirmation, because we're asking people to travel and take some time out of their week. And afterward, it opened doors that our salespeople just couldn't get into. We were talking to higher ups at Northrop Grumman that we just hadn't previously been able to reach, other companies like that. So that was a really great success for me. I was very proud of it, but I learned that perseverance, if you really believe in something, it really, really pays off. And just sometimes you just have to pause, but don't stop.
I'm going to pivot a little bit, and in today's culture, we're going to talk about AI. So, either in your job now, in your life, let's talk about AI. How does it impact, what you do? How do you use it? And where do you see things going?
I use it nearly daily. I use it a lot to help our clients at MarketScale. I'll, dump transcripts from meeting conversations and a lot of other information into it. And I actually just treat AI like a personal assistant. I'm not super sophisticated with it. I've read a lot about things people do with it, but I just use it as a personal assistant. And I love the conversational tone. If I get a result I don't like, I say, okay, that's great. And I think, gee, I'm talking to this tool like I would talk to one of my staff. So I really love it as a huge time saver. Can I write a good email? Yes, I can. I'd rather my personal assistant write it and I edit it because it's just a huge time saver for me.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. So pivoting from the future to the past, let's think about young Bridget. So wise Bridget here on the podcast. If there's any one thing that you'd want to reach back through the years, tap her on the shoulder, what would you tell young Bridget?
There were many times when I was young, I would stop myself from pursuing something I wanted to do because I was really concerned about how it would look, or I was afraid of failure and what people would think of that. And now I'm not like that. I have perfected the art of not worrying of what other people think, and not letting go standards by any means, but really doing what I would like to do. And I'm paying attention to what I like doing. And I think that's a really good beacon to follow for a young person. And I don't mean just do whatever you want and the money will follow. You do need to be responsible. You need to have a plan. You need to support yourself and contribute to society. But really, there are ways to do that and do what you love to do. So don't worry about what other people think.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Bridget. Next question. One of my favorite topics. I would love you to highlight some of your examples of the power of collaboration or community, or if you want to shout at any particular people who have enabled the power of collaboration or community, go.
Well, one thing I don't know if we talk about at MarketScale, but I've worked for a lot of companies, and the culture at MarketScale is incredible. We practice what we preach at MarketScale. We talk about the power of the crowd and collaboration, and it's a company culture like I've never seen. It is very supported. Many of us are not at the headquarters in Dallas. We're all over the United States, and I still feel very, very connected. And it's very intentional. There's a lot of reach out. There's training, support, everyday touch points and things like that. And it's very positive, and sometimes it's fun. I have fun working, but it's just a really smart culture. And I want to just shout out to Brandon Morgan. I think he is behind the strategy of our company culture. He takes care of our clients, but I think he's overseeing a lot of what we do at MarketScale. And Emily King also is our HR leader, and I know she's behind the brains behind some of these nice programs for us out here in the field. So I really appreciate it. It's remarkable to watch this company grow with a great inclusive culture.
Thanks, Bridget. That's what I love to hear, honestly. All right. Well, I just have one more question for you before we take off for the rest of our days. I would love you to talk about either, what you're most excited about going forward, or if you just want to think about a little bit of the legacy of what you've done. What really stands out for you right now?
I guess I could say it's a legacy of helping our clients pivot to using user-generated content for their marketing strategy. It's an incredibly powerful concept when you think about it, because marketing leaders are always having their budgets cut. They get headcount cuts. They don't know, and the pressure is still on them to produce the leads. The numbers pressure never goes away, but the resources dwindle. And I always say, if I ever started a new business, I would have MarketScale as part of my budget. It's just a no-brainer, in my opinion. So helping marketers, B2B marketers, actually see the power of user-generated content and expand the content production under these new constraints they're constantly facing, that's super exciting for me to watch them do that. And I've been fortunate to inherit one legacy client who is already with MarketScale, but also work with brand new ones like PayPal. And so that's been really exciting to see. And I know when I actually retire, they will continue to do it.
All right. So this really is my final question to you. This time I mean it. What's one thing that people just don't know about Bridget Benedetti?
Well, I actually have a motorcycle license. I know I don't look like I do, but I do. I had to have a Vespa, and several years ago I bought one, and I didn't want the 49cc one that you rent when you're on vacation. I had to have the 150cc one, and so it requires a motorcycle license. So I went to motorcycle school. I had to sit in a classroom for a day, and then we were 2 days on the range, and it was hard and challenging, but it was very exciting. I'm kind of proud of that. Anyone who's done it knows it's very challenging.
Thank Thank you for sharing that. Hashtag biker mama, hashtag easy rider. Well, Bridget, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to share your stories and for always being such a bright, shiny light to all of those of us who have gotten to work with you.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you. I always have fun talking to you, so I appreciate it. I'm happy to be a guest on your show.
Awesome. All right. Well, till next time.
Okay.